Under acute stress, catecholamines flood your prefrontal cortex, suppressing the very circuits responsible for impulse control, judgment, and self-monitoring. The version of yourself you present to the world starts to crack, not because pressure changes who you are, but because it strips away the performance that has been concealing who you have always been. So what exactly comes forward when that mask falls? Acute stress acts on the brain with remarkable speed and precision. When the body senses threat, the sympathetic nervous system launches a chemical surge. Norepinephrine and dopamine flood the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for planning, self-control, and flexible judgment. Within seconds, this neurochemical wave disrupts the circuits that support reflective thinking. The mind shifts from careful analysis to rapid, automatic responses. This is not random chaos. Instead, the brain defaults to older, deeply wired patterns: fight, flight, freeze, or appease, each rooted in survival. Research by Amy Arnsten and others has shown that even mild stress can weaken the connections in the prefrontal cortex, making it harder to weigh options or consider long-term consequences. The amygdala and striatum, regions linked to emotion and habit, step in to guide behavior. Choices become faster but more rigid, shaped by past experience and ingrained tendencies. Under pressure, people are more likely to rely on what feels familiar, whether that means speaking sharply, withdrawing, or placating others. Judgment narrows. The brain's ability to update its strategy or see the bigger picture fades as stress persists. This is why someone who is usually patient may snap, or a cautious person may suddenly act impulsively. Yet, not everyone loses all control. Emotion regulation plays a crucial role in what happens next. If a person can name what they are feeling, labeling an emotion like fear or anger, the prefrontal cortex can regain some influence. Techniques like reappraisal, where the situation is reframed in a less threatening light, also help restore balance. These skills keep the mind usable, even when stress is high. What emerges under pressure is not a mystery. It is a predictable shift in brain function, shaped by biology and past learning. The patterns may look different from one person to the next, but the underlying logic remains. Stress reveals the habits and priorities that routine and self-presentation often conceal. In daily life, most people present a version of themselves that feels measured and appropriate to the situation. This outward calm is not just a matter of hiding flaws, it is a well-practiced skill, shaped by years of learning how to fit in, protect social standing, and maintain smooth interactions. Sociologist Irving Goffman described these behaviors as a kind of performance, with each person wearing a social mask on the front stage of public life. Psychologist Mark Leary expanded on this, showing that the drive to be seen as competent, likable, or in control is not simply vanity, but a strategy for preserving relationships and opportunities. The effort to keep this mask in place requires constant self-monitoring, adjusting tone, posture, even word choice to match expectations. For some, this effort becomes second nature, while others find it more taxing. Under pressure, the cost of maintaining the mask rises. Some people react by doubling down, tightening their control, and becoming even more polished and formal. Others find that the mask slips, and raw feelings, frustration, fear, or even unexpected kindness break through the surface. These moments can reveal hidden vulnerabilities, flashes of courage, or deep-seated defensiveness that rarely appear when things are calm. What becomes visible under strain is not always the worst in people. Sometimes, the loss of a mask allows for genuine connection or honesty that routine would otherwise keep tucked away. The social mask is both a shield and a filter, and when it falters, it offers a glimpse of the priorities and emotional habits that shape how a person navigates the world. Arguments in close relationships often begin with small sparks, a forgotten errand, a careless word, but they quickly fan into something more revealing. Under pressure, the patterns that shape intimacy become visible. One partner may raise their voice or chase after connection, while the other turns away, seeking distance or silence. This pattern, known as the pursue-withdraw cycle, has been observed in thousands of couples by researchers like John Gottman. It is rarely about the surface issue. Instead, it exposes how each person tries to protect what matters most: the need for reassurance, the longing for peace, or the urge to defend personal boundaries. Attachment theory. first outlined by John Bowlby and later expanded by Mary Ainsworth, Mario Mikulincer, and Philip Shaver, helps explain why these patterns feel so urgent. People with secure attachment tend to recover from conflict more quickly, reaching for comfort or compromise. Those with anxious attachment may pursue, seeking immediate reassurance when tension rises. Avoidant partners often withdraw, hoping that space will restore calm. These instincts are not just habits, they are rooted in early experiences of trust, safety, and vulnerability. Repeated conflict rarely means the same thing to both people. For one, an argument may be a plea for honesty or closeness. For the other, it may signal danger or overwhelm, prompting retreat. Over time, couples fall into loops where the same fight is replayed, each side defending love in their own way. Under stress, the usual masks of patience or politeness slip, and deeper priorities come forward. Whether someone seeks a quick resolution, insists on truth, or simply needs quiet, these moments reveal what they value most when love feels threatened. Pressure does not invent new qualities, it draws out the strategies each person has learned to keep love safe, for better or worse. When a deadline looms, a team's true climate comes into sharp focus. Some leaders respond by distributing trust, inviting input, and clarifying roles. Others tighten control, micromanage, or demand constant updates, hoping to keep every detail in their grasp. Research by Amy Edmondson has shown that the difference between these approaches is not just a matter of style. It shapes whether people feel safe enough to raise concerns or stay silent about risks. Psychological safety, as Edmondson defines it, is the sense that mistakes and questions will not be punished. In her studies of manufacturing teams, those with high psychological safety reported more errors, not because they failed more often, but because they spoke up before problems grew. When pressure rises, this openness can prevent costly mistakes and spark creative solutions. Google's Project Aristotle echoed these findings on a massive scale. After analyzing hundreds of teams, the project found that psychological safety predicted performance better than expertise or experience. Teams with high safety generated 31% more innovative ideas and were more likely to meet ambitious goals. Under stress, these groups shared information freely and adapted quickly. In contrast, teams where people feared blame often hid problems, avoided hard conversations, and struggled when the clock was ticking. Teresa Amabile's research on creativity under time pressure adds another layer. When pressure is moderate and leaders protect focused work time, urgency can sharpen attention and drive progress. But when pressure becomes overwhelming and leaders default to micromanagement, creative thinking collapses. People stick to safe, familiar routines and avoid taking risks. In these moments, a leader's choices reveal their core values, whether they protect the team's ability to think and learn, or focus only on speed and image. Deadline stress does not invent new leadership qualities. It exposes what matters most to those in charge, and what kind of climate they create when the stakes are high. In a true emergency, the window for reflection vanishes, seconds count, and every hesitation carries weight. Psychologists Bibb Latané and John Darley found that in moments of crisis, people pass through a rapid series of decisions, notice the threat, interpret its urgency, decide responsibility, accessibility, and then act or not. The presence of others can dilute responsibility, making it easier to freeze or look away, a pattern known as the bystander effect. Yet, real-world footage and field studies show that many do step forward, especially when training has prepared them to recognize and override automatic hesitation. In triage or evacuation, split-second choices reveal what matters most: who gets help first, who risks their own safety, and who organizes others. Practice and rehearsal can turn panic into purposeful action, but even then, the moment strips away pretense. Under crisis, the core question surfaces: does a person move to help, retreat, or wait for someone else to take the lead? A single moment of stress rarely defines a person's whole character. Observers often slip into what psychologists call the fundamental attribution error, assuming that a heated outburst or a retreat under pressure reveals an unchanging truth, when in reality, context and circumstance play a much larger role. Ross's research on attribution bias shows how easy it is to mistake a situational reaction for a fixed trait. At the same time, cultural scripts, as described by Hazel Marcus and Shinobu Kitayama, shape which emotions are displayed and which are hidden. In some cultures, anger might signal strength, while in others, it is seen as a loss of face. Social norms can make the same reaction appear brave in one setting and disrespectful in another. Under pressure, people often reveal what they are most intent on protecting: status, safety, belonging, or principle. Fatigue, uncertainty, and the weight of consequences all influence what comes forward. The more useful question is not, who are they at their core, but what mattered most to them in that moment. In moments of strain, our patterns, not our intentions, often speak the loudest. Today, research shows self-awareness under pressure predicts long-term well-being and resilience. The challenge is not avoiding stress, but understanding what it reveals. In that reflection, real growth becomes possible. What would you discover under pressure?